The parking lot behind Riverside Diner was empty except for one car, a faded blue Honda Civic with a cracked taillight and windows fogged from the inside. It was just past 11:30 on a Thursday night, and Officer Daniel Reed had noticed it there for the third time that week. Same spot, same car, all was after dark. He pulled his patrol car alongside it, engine idling softly. The streetlight overhead flickered, casting uneven shadows across the pavement. Daniel cut the engine and stepped out, his boots crunching against loose gravel. He approached slowly, his hand resting lightly on his belt, not from suspicion, but from habit. As he neared the driver's side window, he noticed something unusual. The glass was completely covered from the inside, not just fogged, but deliberately blocked with what looked like a blanket or towel. He knocked gently, twice, then waited. Nothing. He knocked again, a little louder this time. "Police, I need you to lower your window, please." A long pause, then a muffled voice, shaky and small. "I'm not doing anything wrong." Daniel leaned closer. "I'm not saying you are. I just need to make sure you're okay." Another silence, longer this time. Then the blanket shifted, and slowly, inch by inch, the window came down. What Daniel saw made his chest tighten. A woman sat huddled in the driver's seat, wrapped in a thin jacket that had seen better days. Her dark hair was pulled into a messy bun, strands falling around her face. Her eyes were red, swollen, and filled with something Daniel recognized instantly, fear, but it was not fear of him. She looked at him briefly, then down at her lap, her hands trembling as they gripped the steering wheel. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'll move. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to park here." Daniel crouched down slightly, bringing himself to her eye level. "You're not in trouble," he said gently. "I'm just checking in. Are you all right?" She nodded too quickly, the kind of nod that was more reflex than truth. "I'm fine. How long have you been out here?" She hesitated. "A few hours." Daniel glanced at the back seat, a small duffel bag, a pillow, a pile of folded clothes. His eyes returned to her face, and he noticed a faint bruise along her jawline, partially hidden by her hair. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She swallowed hard. "Maya." "Maya," he repeated, his voice calm and steady. "When's the last time you ate something?" Her eyes filled with tears, and she looked away, embarrassed. "I'm not hungry." "That's not what I asked." She bit her lip, trying to hold it together. "This morning, maybe." Daniel stood and walked back to his patrol car. He returned a moment later with a granola bar and a bottle of water. He held them out through the window. "It's not much, but it's something." Maya stared at the items in his hand, then slowly reached out and took them. Her fingers were ice cold. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel stepped back, giving her space. "You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. But if you're running from something, or someone, I need to know so I can help." Maya's hand shook as she opened the water bottle. She took a small sip, then another. Finally she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "My ex. He's been looking for me." Daniel's jaw tightened. "How long?" 2 weeks, maybe 3. "I left our apartment after he—" She stopped, unable to finish the sentence. She did not need to. Daniel nodded slowly. "You have somewhere safe to go?" She shook her head. "I've been staying with a friend, but he found out where she lives. I can't put her at risk, so I've been, moving around. Sleeping in your car." She looked down, ashamed. "It's temporary. I'm figuring it out." Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Do you have kids?" Maya's face shifted, and for the first time, a small, tired smile appeared. "A daughter. Emily. She's 4. She's with my mom right now, 2 towns over. I didn't want her to see me like this." "That's smart," Daniel said, "keeping her safe." Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I just want to get back to her. I'm trying to save enough for a deposit on a place, but it's hard when you're working part-time, and every dollar goes to gas and food." Daniel crouched down again, his voice gentle but firm. "Maya, listen to me. You don't have to do this alone. There are shelters, resources, people who can help." "I've tried," she said, her voice breaking. "They're all full, or they have wait lists, or they need paperwork I don't have anymore because I left everything behind when I ran." Daniel exhaled slowly. He had been a cop for 8 years. He had seen this story too many times. Women trapped between fear and survival, caught in systems that moved too slow or did not move at all. "Okay," he said quietly. "Here's what's going to happen. You're not staying in this parking lot tonight." Maya's eyes widened. "I don't have anywhere else to go." "I know," Daniel said. "That's why you're coming with me." She froze. "What?" "There's a small efficiency unit behind my house," he explained. "It used to be a guest cottage. My late wife and I fixed it up years ago. It's been sitting empty since she passed. It has a bed, a bathroom, a kitchenette. It's not fancy, but it's warm and it's safe." Maya stared at him, stunned. "I can't. I don't even know you." "I'm Daniel Reed. I'm a single dad. I have a 6-year-old son named Lucas. I work the night shift most weeks, and I make terrible pancakes, but pretty decent scrambled eggs." He gave her a small, reassuring smile. "You don't have to trust me yet, but you do need to sleep somewhere that's not your car." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Why would you do this?" Daniel's expression softened. "Because someone did it for me once, and because no one should have to live in fear like this." Maya sat there, clutching the water bottle, her mind racing. Every instinct told her to be cautious, to protect herself, but something in his eyes, something steady and kind, made her want to believe him. "Just for tonight," she whispered. "Just for tonight," Daniel agreed. She gathered her things slowly, her hands still shaking. Daniel waited patiently, giving her time. When she finally stepped out of the car, he noticed she was shorter than he expected, barely reaching his shoulder. She clutched her duffel bag like a lifeline. "Follow me," he said gently. "I'll drive slow." They drove through quiet streets, the town asleep around them. Maya followed his taillights, her heart pounding the entire way. She did not know if this was the right decision, but she was too tired to keep running, too exhausted to keep pretending she was fine. Daniel's house was modest, a small 2-story with a porch light glowing softly in the darkness. He parked in the driveway and gestured toward a separate structure at the back of the yard, connected by a stone path. He unlocked the door and flipped on the light. The space was simple but clean. A queen bed with fresh linens, a small table and chairs, a kitchenette with a microwave and coffee maker. Everything smelled faintly of lavender, like someone had just cleaned it. "I keep it ready," Daniel said quietly, "just in case." Maya set her bag down slowly, looking around in disbelief. "This is too much." "It's enough," he corrected. He handed her a key. "Lock the door behind me. There's food in the fridge, towels in the bathroom. If you need anything, the main house is right there. Just knock." She took the key, her fingers brushing his briefly. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I don't know how to repay you." "You don't have to," Daniel said. "Just get some rest." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Maya?" "Yeah?" "You're safe here, I promise." And then he was gone, the door closing softly behind him. Maya stood alone in the small cottage, her heart still racing. She locked the door, then sank onto the edge of the bed, covering her face with her hands. For the first time in weeks, she let herself cry, not from fear, but from relief. She did not know this man. She did not know if she could trust him. But tonight, for the first time in a long time, she was warm. She was safe. And that was enough. The next morning, Maya woke to sunlight streaming through the small window above the bed. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then the memories came rushing back, the parking lot, the knock on her window, the officer with kind eyes who had offered her shelter. She sat up slowly, her body aching from weeks of sleeping in awkward positions. The bed beneath her was soft, the blankets clean and warm. She could not remember the last time she had slept so deeply. A gentle knock on the door made her freeze. "Maya?" Daniel's voice came through, calm and unhurried. "I'm leaving breakfast on the porch." "No pressure, just wanted to make sure you had something to eat." She heard footsteps retreating, then silence. Maya waited a few minutes before unlocking the door and peeking outside. On the small wooden bench sat a covered plate, steam rising faintly from beneath the foil. Beside it, a thermos and a handwritten note. "Coffee, Black. Wasn't sure how you take it. There's sugar and cream inside if you need it. The eggs are scrambled, bacon's crispy, and the toast is only slightly burnt. Welcome to my cooking. Daniel." Maya picked up the plate and carried it inside, her throat tight. She sat at the small table and slowly peeled back the foil. The food was simple but warm, and it smelled like home. She ate slowly, savoring every bite. When she finished, she sat back and stared at the note, reading it over and over. She did not know what to do with kindness like this. It felt foreign, almost uncomfortable. But it also felt real. Later that afternoon, Maya ventured out of the cottage and walked toward the main house. She knocked lightly on the back door, unsure if anyone was home. The door opened, and instead of Daniel, she found herself looking down at a small boy with messy brown hair and bright, curious eyes. "Hi," he said simply. "Hi," Maya replied, smiling despite herself. "You must be Lucas." He nodded. "Are you the lady staying in the cottage?" "I am." "Cool." He opened the door wider. "Dad's in the kitchen. Come in." Maya hesitated, then stepped inside. The house was warm and lived in, with toys scattered across the living room floor and drawings taped to the refrigerator. It smelled like coffee and cinnamon. Daniel appeared from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Hey," he said, surprised but pleased. "You doing okay?" "Yeah," Maya said softly. "I just wanted to say thank you for breakfast and for, everything." Daniel waved it off. "It's nothing." "It's not nothing," she said firmly. "It's everything." Lucas tugged on his dad's sleeve. "Can she stay for lunch?" Daniel looked at Maya, eyebrows raised. "No pressure." Maya glanced between them, then smiled. "If it's not too much trouble." "Trouble?" Lucas grinned. "Dad's making grilled cheese. It's his only good meal." Daniel laughed. "Thanks for the vote of confidence, buddy." They sat together at the kitchen table, the three of them, sharing sandwiches and easy conversation. Lucas told Maya about his favorite superhero, his best friend at school, and the treehouse his dad was building in the backyard. Maya listened, laughing softly at his enthusiasm. And Daniel watched her quietly, noticing the way her shoulders relaxed, the way her smile reached her eyes for the first time. After lunch, Lucas ran outside to play, and Maya helped Daniel clear the dishes. "He's sweet," she said, rinsing a plate. "He's my whole world," Daniel replied. "After my wife died, he's the reason I kept going." Maya paused, looking at him. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." "It's okay," Daniel said. "It's been 3 years. Some days are harder than others, but we're managing." They stood side by side in comfortable silence, the sound of water running between them. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said quietly. "Of course." "Why did you really help me? You don't know me. You didn't have to do any of this." Daniel set down the dish towel and turned to face her. "Because I know what it's like to feel alone. After my wife passed, people said all the right things, but most of them disappeared. It was a neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Chen, who showed up every week with food and stayed to help with Lucas. She didn't ask questions, she just helped." He paused. "She taught me that sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is just show up. So that's what I'm doing. I'm showing up." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve this." "Yes," Daniel said gently, "you do." Over the following days, a quiet rhythm began to form. Maya stayed in the cottage, venturing out only when necessary. She found small ways to contribute, tidying the main house when Daniel was at work, folding laundry she found in the dryer, leaving fresh coffee in the pot for when he returned from his night shifts. She never asked for permission. She simply helped the same way he had helped her, quietly and without expectation. One morning, Daniel came home just after sunrise to find his entire front porch swept clean, the railings wiped down, and a small pot of flowers sitting by the door. Inside, Lucas was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table eating cereal. Maya stood at the stove, flipping pancakes. "Morning," she said softly, not turning around. Daniel stopped in the doorway, too surprised to speak. "She makes better pancakes than you, Dad," Lucas announced through a mouthful of cereal. Maya laughed, and the sound filled the kitchen like sunlight. "That's not a high bar to clear, apparently." Daniel set down his keys and walked over slowly. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," Maya said, sliding a pancake onto a plate, "but you've done so much for me." I wanted to do something back. He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time noticed the bruise on her jaw had started to fade. Her eyes were brighter. Her hands no longer trembled. "Thank you," he said quietly. She handed him the plate. "Eat, you look exhausted." They fell into an unexpected routine after that. Maya began picking Lucas up from school when Daniel worked late shifts. She would help him with homework, read to him, make him dinner. Lucas adored her, asking questions about everything, showing her his drawings, begging her to play superheroes in the backyard. And Maya, who had spent weeks running and hiding, slowly began to feel something she had almost forgotten: peace. One evening, as Daniel came home early from work, he found Lucas and Maya sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by building blocks. They were constructing an elaborate castle, complete with towers and a drawbridge made from popsicle sticks. "Look, Dad," Lucas shouted. "We made a fortress." Daniel crouched down beside them, smiling. "This is incredible." Maya glanced up at him, her face flushed with happiness. "He's got a great imagination." "He gets that from his mom," Daniel said softly. Lucas looked between them, then back at his castle. "Maya says every fortress needs a hero to protect it." "She's right," Daniel said, his gaze lingering on Maya. Later that night, after Lucas was asleep, Daniel found Maya sitting on the porch steps of the cottage, wrapped in a blanket, staring up at the stars. He sat down beside her, not too close, just near enough to feel her presence. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Sure. What are you going to do, at a long term, I mean?" Maya was quiet for a moment. "I've been saving. I found a waitressing job at the diner, the one near the parking lot where you found me. Ironic, right?" She smiled faintly. "I'm hoping in another month or two I'll have enough for a deposit. Then I can get Emily back." "You miss her?" "Every second of every day," Maya whispered. "I call her every night before bed. She asks when I'm coming home, and I keep telling her soon. I just hope she believes me." Daniel nodded. "She will. Because you're doing everything right. You're protecting her, providing for her. That's what good parents do." Maya looked at him. "You're a good parent, Daniel. Lucas is lucky." "I'm trying," he said. "Some days I feel like I'm barely holding it together. But then he laughs at something silly or shows me a drawing, and I remember why I keep going." They sat in comfortable silence, the night air cool around them. "Can I tell you something?" Maya said softly. "Anything. I haven't felt this safe in years. Not just physically, but emotionally. You and Lucas, this place, it's like I can finally breathe again." Daniel turned to her, his voice gentle. "You deserve to feel that way all the time." "Maybe," she said, "but I've learned not to expect it." "Then let me help you learn differently," he said. Maya looked at him, surprised. His eyes were steady, honest, filled with something she could not quite name. "Why?" she whispered. "Because," Daniel said, "somewhere along the way you stopped being a stranger. You became someone I care about." Her breath caught. She did not know what to say, how to respond, so she did the only thing that felt right. She reached over and took his hand, lacing her fingers through his. They sat like that for a long time, holding on, neither of them willing to let go. 2 weeks later, everything changed. Maya was walking back from the diner after her shift, her tips tucked safely in her pocket. The evening was cool, the streetlights just beginning to flicker on. She was thinking about Emily, about how close she was to finally bringing her home. Then she saw him. Her ex, Trevor, stood leaning against a car across the street, arms folded, watching her with cold, calculating eyes. Maya froze. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs would not move. Trevor pushed off the car and started walking toward her, slow and deliberate. "Thought you could hide from me," he called out, his voice sharp and mocking. Maya took a step back. "Leave me alone, Trevor." "You embarrassed me," he said, his voice rising. "You left. You took my daughter. You made me look weak." "She's my daughter," Maya said, her voice trembling but firm, "and I left because you hurt me." "I never touched you," he spat, even though they both knew it was a lie. He was getting closer now, close enough that she could see the anger in his eyes, the tension in his fists. Maya's hand went to her phone, fumbling to unlock it. "Who are you calling?" Trevor sneered. "Your cop boyfriend?" "Yeah, I know about him. I've been watching." Fear turned to ice in her veins. "Stay away from me," she said, backing up further. "Or what?" Trevor laughed bitterly. "You think some random guy with a badge is going to protect you? You think you're safe?" Before she could answer, headlights flooded the street. A patrol car pulled up fast, tires screeching slightly as it stopped between them. Daniel stepped out, his expression calm, but his eyes hard as steel. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice steady and cold. Trevor straightened, trying to look casual. "Just talking to my girl." "I'm not your girl," Maya said quickly, stepping closer to Daniel. "Ma'am," Daniel said, not taking his eyes off Trevor, "do you know this man?" "Yes," Maya whispered. "He's my ex. He's been following me." Daniel's jaw tightened. He turned fully toward Trevor now, his stance shifting into something professional, unmovable. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step back." "This is between me and her," Trevor said, his voice rising. "Not anymore," Daniel said. "You're harassing her." "That's a crime." Trevor took a step forward, fists clenched. "You don't know what you're talking about." In one smooth motion, Daniel stepped between them, his hand resting on his belt. "I'm going to ask you one more time to step back. If you don't, I will arrest you for harassment and intimidation." Trevor glared at him, his face twisted with rage. For a moment it looked like he might lunge forward, but then he spat on the ground and took a step back. "This isn't over," he said, looking past Daniel at Maya. "You can't hide forever?" "Actually," Daniel said, his voice like iron, "she can. And if I see you near her again, near this street, near anywhere she is, I will make sure you regret it. Do we understand each other?" Trevor said nothing. He turned and stalked back to his car, slamming the door before peeling away into the night. Maya stood frozen, her whole body shaking. Daniel turned to her immediately, his expression softening. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "He knows where I am. He knows about you. He's not going to stop." Daniel stepped closer, his hands resting lightly on her shoulders. "Hey, look at me." She lifted her eyes to his. "I'm not going to let him hurt you," Daniel said firmly. "Do you hear me? I will do everything in my power to keep you safe. But what if—" "No what ifs," he interrupted. "We're going to file a restraining order tomorrow. I'm going to make sure every officer in this precinct knows his face. And you're going to stay with me until we figure this out. Daniel, I can't ask you to—" "You're not asking us," he said. "I'm telling you, you and Emily, both of you, you're staying. Maya broke down completely, collapsing into his arms. He held her tightly, his hand cradling the back of her head as she sobbed into his chest. "I've got you," he whispered. "I've got you." And in that moment, standing under the dim streetlights with fear still clinging to her skin, Maya believed him. The restraining order was filed the next day. Daniel sat beside Maya through every step, every form, every uncomfortable question. He held her hand when her voice shook. He spoke up when she could not find the words. The judge granted the order immediately, citing the history of abuse and the recent confrontation. Trevor was to stay at least 500 feet away from Maya at all times. But Daniel knew better than to trust a piece of paper to stop a man like that. He installed new locks on the cottage. He made sure Maya had his number on speed dial. He drove her to and from work, no exceptions. And he made it clear to Lucas that if anyone ever asked about the woman staying with him, he was to say nothing and find an adult immediately. Lucas, wise beyond his years, simply nodded. "I'll protect her too, Dad." Daniel ruffled his hair. "I know you will, buddy." A week later, Maya's mother brought Emily to visit. The little girl burst through the door like a firework, all curls and giggles and tiny hands reaching for her mom. "Mama!" Emily squealed, launching herself into Maya's arms. Maya caught her, spinning her around, tears streaming down her face. "Hi, baby. Hi, my sweet girl. I missed you so much." Emily pulled back, her small hands framing her mother's face. "You look happy, Mama." Maya laughed through her tears. "I am, sweetheart. I really am." Lucas peeked around the corner, shy and curious. Emily noticed him immediately. "Who's that?" she asked, pointing. "That's Lucas," Maya said, setting her down gently. "He lives here with his dad. They've been very kind to us." Emily walked right up to Lucas and held out her hand. "I'm Emily." "I'm 4. Do you like dinosaurs?" Lucas grinned. "Yeah, I have a T-Rex upstairs." "Can I see it?" "Sure." And just like that, the two of them disappeared upstairs, leaving the adults standing in stunned silence. Daniel appeared from the kitchen, smiling. "Well, that was fast." Maya's mother, a kind woman in her early 60s with silver hair and tired eyes, walked over and hugged Daniel tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for taking care of my daughter." Daniel hugged her back gently. "She's family now." Maya's breath hitched at those words, family. That evening, after Emily and Lucas had fallen asleep on the couch mid-movie, tangled together like old friends, Maya and Daniel sat on the porch again. "She's wonderful," Daniel said softly, watching through the window as the kids slept. "She's my everything," Maya replied. I can see that." He paused. "You know you don't have to leave, right? Either of you. There's room. Lucas already loves her. And I—" He stopped himself. Maya turned to him. "You what?" Daniel looked at her, his eyes filled with something raw and honest. "I care about you, Maya. More than I probably should, more than I expected to." Her heart pounded. "Daniel—" "You don't have to say anything," he said quickly. "I just needed you to know. Whatever happens next, wherever life takes you, I want you to know that you matter. You and Emily. You both matter to me." Maya's eyes filled with tears. She reached over and took his hand, holding it tightly. "I care about you too," she whispered. "And that terrifies me." "Why?" "Because every time I've let someone in, I've gotten hurt." Daniel squeezed her hand, gently. "I can't promise you'll never hurt again. Life doesn't work that way. But I can promise I'll never be the one who causes it." She looked at him, searching his eyes for doubt, for hesitation. But all she found was honesty. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay? Okay, I'll stay. We'll stay." Daniel exhaled, a smile breaking across his face. He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. Inside the house, through the window, Lucas and Emily stirred slightly, then settled back into sleep, their small hands still holding on to each other. And outside, under the stars, two broken people who had found each other in the most unexpected way, began to heal. 3 months passed. The cottage became Maya and Emily's home. The main house became a place where laughter echoed through the halls, where tiny footsteps raced up and down the stairs, where bedtime stories were read in tandem and breakfast was a chaotic, beautiful mess. Daniel taught Emily how to ride a bike. Maya taught Lucas how to braid friendship bracelets. They became a unit, imperfect and patchwork, but undeniably whole. One Saturday morning, Daniel woke to find the house unusually quiet. He walked downstairs and found a note on the kitchen counter in Maya's handwriting. "Took the kids to the park. Join us when you wake up. There's coffee in the pot." "Mst." He smiled, poured himself a cup, and headed out. The park was only a few blocks away, a small green space with swings and a jungle gym. He spotted them immediately, Lucas and Emily racing across the grass, Maya chasing after them, her laughter bright and free. Daniel stood at the edge of the park watching, and in that moment he realized something. This was love. Not the dramatic, sweeping kind from movies, but the quiet, steady kind that showed up every day. The kind that made breakfast and braided hair and chased kids through parks. The kind that healed. Maya noticed him and waved. He waved back, his heart full. Later that evening, after the kids were in bed, Daniel found Maya in the kitchen, washing dishes. He walked up behind her and gently took the dish from her hands. "Let me," he said softly. She turned to face him, surprised. "You don't have to." "I want to." They stood there inches apart, the air between them charged with something unspoken. "Maya?" Daniel said quietly. "I know we've been taking this slow, and I don't want to rush you, but I need you to know something." "What?" "I'm in love with you," he said, his voice steady and sure. "I love the way you take care of the kids. I love the way you hum when you cook. I love the way you leave notes on the counter and flowers on the porch. I love all of it. I love you." Maya's breath caught. Tears filled her eyes. "You don't have to say it back," Daniel added quickly. "I just needed you to know." But Maya shook her head, a smile breaking through her tears. "I do. I do want to say it back." She reached up, her hand resting against his cheek. "I love you, Daniel Reed. I love your kindness, your patience, the way you make Lucas laugh, the way you held me when I was broken. I love you." He leaned down, and she rose up to meet him, and their lips met in a kiss that was soft and tender, and filled with every unspoken word, every quiet moment, every piece of hope they had built together. When they pulled apart, both of them were crying, smiling through the tears. "We're a mess," Maya laughed. "We're perfect," Daniel whispered. And in the small, warm kitchen of a house that had become a home, two people who had been lost found exactly where they belonged. 1 year later, the backyard was transformed. White chairs lined the grass, flowers hung from the trees, and standing beneath a simple wooden arch, surrounded by family and friends, Daniel and Maya exchanged vows. Lucas stood beside his dad, holding the rings with the most serious expression a 7-year-old could muster. Emily stood beside her mom, clutching a small bouquet and whispering, "You look like a princess, Mama." The ceremony was short, simple, and perfect, and when the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Daniel pulled Maya close and kissed her like she was the only person in the world. The crowd erupted in applause. Lucas and Emily ran forward, wrapping their arms around their parents' legs, and the four of them stood there, holding on to each other, a family made not by blood, but by choice, by love, by showing up every single day. That night, after the guests had gone and the kids had finally fallen asleep, Daniel and Maya sat on the porch swing, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars. "Do you ever think about that night?" Maya asked softly. "The night you knocked on my window?" "All the time," Daniel said. "What would have happened if you hadn't?" He tightened his arm around her. "I don't know, but I'm glad I'll never have to find out." Maya rested her head on his shoulder. "Me too." They sat in silence, swaying gently, the world quiet around them. Love does not always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it comes in a knock on a car window at midnight. Sometimes it is a warm meal, a safe place to sleep, a hand extended when you have nothing left to give. Sometimes love is a single dad who sees you, truly sees you, and decides you are worth protecting. And sometimes love is a woman who teaches you that broken things can be made whole again, that family is not just who you are born to, but who you choose to hold on to. Thank you for sharing this moment of chance, connection, and meaning. If this story reminded you that fate often hides in everyday moments, then please subscribe to Lucky Encounters. We bring you heartfelt tales of serendipity, where a simple twist of life can change everything. Until next time, stay open, stay hopeful, and remember, sometimes luck is just love in disguise. Subscribe now.